Hello and welcome to the DMR Tier 4. We're bringing round 2 to you guys this evening from Austria. It's the Red Bull Ring. We see the cars being at full throttle for some 79% of this lap, and a lot of that is through the fast first sector where you will see 3 DRS zones consecutively after 2 braking zones. So that should produce some good overtaking. The second half of the lap here is far more flowing as you descend down the hill once more, and that's where you'll see a lot of the time found in qualifying, or for that matter, lost due to mistakes. Of course, this is a brand new tier. All these drivers are hoping to move up the ladder, but as it stands after one event, it's Alex Perita who leads the way after his win last time out in Germany, with Jedla and Richie close behind him as they completed the podium. And meanwhile, in the Constructors' Championship, we've got Ferrari capitalizing on their second and third positions last time out, and Racing Point sitting in second. So it's all heating up to be quite an exciting little championship here. As for myself, my name is Tom Davis, and I'm joined in the combox as ever by the wonderful and incredible Edwin. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. I believe the session only started about 1 minute ago, but there's one guy who's almost across the finish line already. It's Jedla in the McLaren, so we can take a look at him.
Yeah, so this lap is a really tricky one. I had to go at it earlier today myself, actually. And in particular, nailing this last corner is really important. You want to take enough curb on the inside that you can open up the exit, but you don't want to take so much that it unsettles the car. And you're on a similar tricky ground on the exit of the corner as well. You want to take enough curb to give yourself the widest possible line, but not so much that you spin up the wheels. And he's managed just that through turns 1, and then turn 2 is that kink there. Of course, purple in the first sector. He's the first guy to set a lap time, potentially a little bit deep at turn 3, which isn't ideal. Here's your third of the DRS zones, or potentially second, depending on where you view it. For him, it's the third time his DRS is opened on this flying lap as such. This is a really tricky corner at turn 4. It turns 1 and what is technically 3 up the hill. You got runoff. You can push the braking zone as far as you want. Make a mistake in the race, it's not going to cost you massively. Turn 4, you make a mistake, you're in the gravel. It's game over. That one, really nice through there. It's all about your turn-in point through turns 7 and 8. That's the left and the right in Sector 2. And it's all about making sure that you can carry the maximum possible speed. Really nice through turn 9 and 10 as you flow back down to the bottom of the hill. DRS pops open and he sets the first of the day as a 1:05 dead, which is a really nice time.
Yes, and also, as always, we have those brave hard runners. This time it's only one guy, Itax, but I mean, hards, I doubt it's gonna work on this track.
Yeah, it's really quite interesting. We saw the other evening in the No Assist League, a bunch of people tried to qualify in the mediums, which is most likely the fastest race strategy if you were to go from the medium tires and pit stop onto the soft tires. But there's just such a difference in qualifying time due to these big braking zones and fast flowing corners that it's really hard to get a viable grid spot on that medium tire.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, maybe it's very quick on the hards on this track, but I feel like the hards is too slow to set a good qualifying lap.
Yeah, of course, the benefit of going on the hards is that if you start at the back, you're unlikely to be looking to make overtakes on the first part of the race anyway, since your tires will be slower. So you'll be near the back, you'll gain track position in the pit stop window, so you might manage to hold a few people up, and then you'll change onto the softs and just be able to blitz the final stint. So
I think
it's potentially possible, but it's not great.
I think he invalidated before the lap started though. So that's
yeah,
awkward.
That's the other thing to note about this track. It's really easy to invalidate. In particular, the double lefts at 6 and 7. If you stray a little bit too much onto the curb, then it will invalidate you. But if you don't use enough curb, then you will lose 3 to 4 tenths potentially through the double left. So it's all about finding that balance here. And you can say the same about the double rights at the penultimate and final corners.
But someone who is not trying the hards, instead of soft, is Bear Wilsman, and he finished third or second last race, right? In the Ferrari.
I have no idea.
Really?
I think the Ferrari drivers last time out were Jedla, surprisingly, and also Richie, so you've had a few teams coming into this race.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Huh, I didn't know that. But he's going purple in 2 sectors.
Was driving last time out, unless he's had a name change, which we've seen happen before.
Yeah, he got purple in the first sector though, so He might be on for a quick lap anyway.
Yeah, he's a little bit deep through turn 4, but it's a little bit banked through there, so you can get away with going deep and carrying some more speed. His turn in, though, for turn 6 isn't ideal. It leaves him wide of apex and then a little bit tight of the exit curve, and it's the same through turn number 7, so he's potentially losing a little bit of time through sector 2. Again, not using all the road through 8. This is the braking zone for 9 now, and he again just was sitting in the middle of the track on entry, which is not really where you want to be. A nice exit through the final corner, potentially not carrying quite as much speed as possible, and it's exactly what it looks like, an affirmatively average lap. Leaves him 1.5 off the top time, but he's 0.3 of a second faster than what is the slowest proper time as such.
Yeah, I mean, he got purple sector 1, but the other sectors just were not as quick, I guess.
Yeah, and I mentioned that in the opener. It's really easy to think the big braking zones, that's where I'm going to gain the time, and in actual fact, you might find a tenth, you might find half a tenth into the braking zones at 3 and 4, but it's way easier to lose time in the middle and final sectors with the tricky downhill braking through the flowing corners.
Yeah, we have 3 drivers so far who has not set a lap, and one of them is the handicap, and he's on his way right now for an outlap.
Yeah, handicap's a really fast driver. He was teamed up with Bloth last time out, and both of them have this similar driving characteristic where they're really quick as a handicap, but come to the overtaking and the racecraft, we've seen them struggle in other leagues, so it's potential that he's really relying on a high upgrade position to do well here.
Yeah, I mean, so far he's P16, but since he hasn't set a lap, that's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, he finished 7th last time out in Germany, and I know Germany isn't a track that he's a huge fan of, and I think he's definitely more preferable to Austria. He suits him a bit more, the style of this track, so hopefully he'll be able to set a good lap. He's a really nice guy, and he deserves to put a good lap in, but it's just a question of can he put it in under the pressure. He's carrying a lot of speed through the penultimate corner. Big Wodja curve, using way more than we've seen from the likes of Jedla and Bear. Potentially where it's at, though, because it didn't seem to unsettle the car on exit, and that's what's the important bit. Really nice through turn 1, no kick of oversteer, which is so easy to do. Commonly, the driver's using a quick upshift from 4th to 5th gear there to avoid the torque just kicking the rear end round. Braking nice and late up into turn 3. Again, almost as tricky as turn 4, just because the incline slows the car down so much, and it's really easy to lock up the brakes as you come over the hill at the top of that braking zone. Nice and clean through turn number 4, however, which is really sweet. Luckily, that back marker, Titan, has gotten out of his way nice and pronto, so he's not had to worry about that. A little bit of curb on the inside, and that's more the line you want to be taking through there. You just sandwich the curve between your front tires on both the entry and the exit, and he's really nice through turn number 8 too. So this could be promising. He's only got 2 more corners to do. What can he put together here? Smooth, but potentially not exciting through the penultimate one, and that will probably invalidate the lap.
Yeah,
it has hugely wide at turn 10, and it's wasted what otherwise could have been a very quick lap.
It would have put him at least P7, so that's annoying for him to see. So far everyone is in the below the 110s except for Noah guy. He's done a 111, which is about 7 seconds off the P1 pace.
Yeah, it's not great for Noah. He'll probably improve on this, however. I do believe Noah uses a controller, however, so you would anticipate him losing a little bit of time as a result of that compared to using a wheel or a rig. But he's definitely got a bit more pace in him from what I've been seeing, and he picked up a pretty respectable 12th place last time out. He started from the back of the grid and just kind of gradually worked his way through a couple of the guys. That will invalidate the lap, however, as he completely cuts turn 3, which you can't get away with.
Ouch. So it's not going to be an improvement for Noah then, but I believe Alex Pirita, he won last time, I know that for sure, and he's P1 here so far. Provisional pole for him at least.
Yeah, it's looking good for him. He comes back into the pits now, so he'll come in, he'll sit for a little bit, see what everyone's doing, and then he will definitely go out and try and improve. 1/10 and a little bit is not a comfortable margin to have over the field.
Yeah, it depends though. If they can't improve, then it's fine, but I don't think he's gonna feel very secure with that time, considering how close it is to Jedla.
Yeah, these two at the top of the timings were 1 and 2 last time out in Germany, so they're definitely shaping up to be the championship battle as such, and they'll be looking to cover each other.
We can also take a look at the Richie right now, who is the reserve driver for Bloth in the Toro Rosso. He left the session earlier, but is back now for an outlap on the softs.
This is him on his flying lap now.
Well,
So
oh yeah, he started his flying now.
really quite smooth. Takes a wide line up this flat out section. Brakes incredibly late. Somehow doesn't lock up. Richie's really fast. As there was a Haas going across the track to try and avoid him. I think he just about avoided getting held up. But that would have been a little bit uncomfortable for him. Down the hill, what can he manage into turn 4? Really clean. You don't want to touch the curb on the inside of there, and he's left plenty of room for error in that one. Turn 5 is that little right curve as such, less of a turn, more of a kink. That's turn 6. He uses a lot less curb than some of the guys have been doing, and he's going to pay the price through turn 7. He's wide of apex there, which potentially is going to cost him time. Coming down into the penultimate corners now then, can he find back what he lost at turn 7? Potentially. It's really nice through 9. Here's 10. He might get invalidated for that. He's just about gotten away with it after using all of the track, and it puts him 4.
P4. Not bad.
And that puts your top 4 drivers within 0.2 of a second of each other, which is a remarkably close field.
You know that turn in Sector 2 where when you're not supposed to touch the curb?
Yes.
Yeah, I always touch that curb. I thought you were supposed to.
Turn 6, the inside curve is a bold one. You can take a huge amount of it if you want to, but you don't want to just kind of caress against it. If you just kind of gently and feebly touch that curb, it will lose you all sorts of front traction. So you either want to really commit to an aggressive line, or you want to try and flow it around the tarmac.
Yeah, I genuinely thought you were supposed to touch that curb, but
it's
maybe
definitely
that's why...
doable. Like there, on if you're still watching Richie, he used it on his what looks like a cooldown. It might be another fast lap, but I
don't think so.
that.
I'm watching Polar Haze in the Ferrari right now because oh no, he was also on an in lap. Why though? He went for an out lap and then an in lap immediately.
Yeah, potentially just saw that he was a long way off the time he was looking to be doing. So obviously, if that's the case, then you'll just come in, put on a fresh set of softs, and try again later. You've got plenty of time left in the session, so you're not particularly pushed in terms of getting around to put in the lap. So just come in, put fresh tires on, it'll probably gain you a 10th.
Yeah, and every single lap right here is like around a minute, so you can usually squeeze in one extra lap compared to a longer session like Singapore.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. And it might come down to stuff like that in the race, too. With it being such a short track, and you look at the field here, you've got a spread of about 3 seconds, probably, in terms of qualifying pace. There's a chance that you get some back markers that the leaders have to overtake, and situations like that could really develop into an interesting race.
I mean, this was the track where Max Verstappen, he lapped his teammate, right?
Yes, he came around and he lapped Gasly, which was somewhat embarrassing for Gasly, and from there it was all downhill from him, really.
Until Brazil, though.
Yes, of course. He got back in the Toro Rosso, fell at home, clearly. Dragged the Mercedes to the line, which was very, very impressive.
Okay, so like it's hard for me to see here who is... Okay, so wait. Polar Haze again is on an outlap, so let's actually watch him, because he's P3 right now. Yeah,
so for him, he's looking to find... Well, 0.2 exactly would put him in first place. He's 0.199 off of Purita's pace, so definitely doable from the Ferrari man. It's just a question of whether or not he can find that extra bit. He'll probably know where the time is as well. It'll be the case with those top 4. They know where they can find those 0.2 of a second. For Jedla, it'll be in the curvy section. I believe for Richie, it's going to be through turn number 7, as we saw in the lap as well. So they'll all know what they have to improve. The problem is, does Purita also know where they can improve?
I mean, probably, because he's P1 and he's the quickest so far, but maybe he doesn't fancy another lap, you know, you never know. He might be happy with his current time.
Yeah, potentially. If you don't think you can improve, it's probably not worth going out and risking a penalty for something you could have avoided by not going out. A kick of oversteer for the Ferrari of Polar Haze there. Not ideal, but he seemed like he got it as a result of getting on the power, and he just kept it floored all the way through it, so he might get away with it here. It's a reasonable first sector, nothing special, but it's definitely not over for his lap yet. Nicely and smoothly onto the power out of turn number 3. Stays way left on his entry to 4, and he's going to take a big whack at curb on the inside there.
Yeah.
Definitely doable, and that's what we were saying earlier. These curbs here, a lot of them have that little soft, almost astroturfy type surface on the other side, that luminous green material. And that is actually pretty traction based. If you can get your wheel over and straddle the curve, then it's definitely just as stable as being all on the tarmac. And that's what you see there through turn 9. Really, really aggressive. And again through turn 10, using all of the track on exit, really pushing towards the line. Is it enough? It is. It puts him half a tenth into first position. Furyian may not have wanted to go out and improve that lap, but they've definitely got to now.
Yeah, he has to now. And we can see both Jedla and Richie are on an outlap as well, so they are also looking to improve. If Alex Pirita is unlucky, he's gonna end up in P4.
Yeah, we've seen that was just over 2 tenths found on that lap. So if these two can do the same, they will also beat up in front of Pirita. So it's all about that. Notably, Jedla had the opportunity potentially for a toe there, decided to turn it down, which could cost you as much as a tenth and a half, 2 tenths through the first sector, providing they then get out of your way into the middle sector. It's a pretty decent final corner, nothing special from Jedla. What is turn 1 going to be like? All of these guys braking remarkably late into these big braking zones. Potentially a little bit worried about the car coming back onto the track there. I believe it was a racing point. But definitely kept it flat. Very, very deep at turn 3, but you can get away with it there. It's another one of those corners similar to the hairpin at Suzuka, whereby going a little bit wider and carrying more speed is actually just about as viable as the traditional racing line as such. Gets a reasonable exit from turn 4 and is going to have to back out of it because they caught that Alfa Romeo in front. Richie goes fastest, pops up into the times 800ths of a second faster than Pola Hayes, who is in turn only 500ths of a second faster than Pirita. So that's your top 3 covered by less than 2 tenths of a second.
Yep. Alex Pirita is going out for a fast lap now as well. He's about to cross the line.
Yeah, so we'll see how this goes for Pirita. Nice, and even later on the brakes than we saw from Jedla, which is really, really impressive. He knows he's got to push on this lap, and it's a question of can he find what initially was a matter of hundredths. Now it's over a tenth that needs to be found, which is immediately more daunting when you just see that extra point on the decimal places appear from a 0 to a 1. Maxing out all the gears as you now become descending instead of ascending. So you need to change what you're thinking about your braking setup and potentially change your brake balance as well. Where previously you would have been really happy to have the brake balance really far forwards up the hill, you might shift it a little bit further back just to avoid locking the fronts back down the hill. This is the session up, so no one's going to get set any more laps. Richie's in the pit. Pola Hayes is finished on track. I believe Jedla will also have finished. I don't think they're on a flying lap unless it's the McLaren just ahead. But here comes Pirita out of the final corner. Is it enough to put themselves back on pole? It's not. It was a slight improvement, but it's only enough for 3rd position.
I just clocked something as well. The handicap didn't set a lap. Wait,
Jedla?
no, he did! He did! He did set a lap, just as I say he didn't, and he puts himself in P6.
Very, very impressive from handicap. Jedla came across the line, not enough to improve, so that drops Jedla back down the order when you were looking at a P2. And it's the 2 guys who just about lost out in Germany who have pipped your current championship protagonists to the pole position.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely think Pirita thought he was safe, but he ended up losing 2 positions.
Yeah, you looked at it initially and you're like, you know what? Just about 2 tenths with how close this field is, it's probably going to be enough. And turned out, everyone had 3 tenths to gain.
Yeah, so the handicap ends up in P7, actually lost a position there in the last second, but I believe he's happy with that, considering he only put in 1 lap.
Yeah, you've got to be happy with that. Of course, with P7 being the finishing position last time out, if you start P7 now, you may be able to gain a couple positions from there.
Oh yeah, I mean, sure, you're in the middle of the pack, so there's a very high chance of accidents happening, but if you can avoid that, you would be in a good position.
So, for the race then, it's all going to be about the first few corners. Turn 1, of course, no matter what you see at turn 1, on the first lap, people are going to be going for overtakes there. But the real zone is going to be turn 3. You've got the slipstream all the way up the hill, and with the cars so close together, the further back in the pack you are, the faster your top speed will be. So as they all head up the hill, the pack will come together before they even reach the braking zone, and that's where you'd be looking to make the move for the lead if you are in fact starting on the second row.
Oh no, it's looking dark. It's looking like it's gonna rain. I don't want another safety car. Not after last time.
Austria, of course, a bit more similar to where I am from, Scotland, in terms of the chances of rain. Not quite as high, but far, far higher than a lot of the tracks on the F1 calendar. So there is a reasonable chance. And with those overcast skies, you wouldn't put it past Mother Nature to throw an extra element into this race.
I mean, if you can barely see the sky, it's usually a bad sign.
Yeah. If the sun's not there, you're in trouble.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But who knows? Maybe these are really good rain drivers. Maybe there's higher chance of a safety car in the dry.
Yeah, potentially. Of note, in a couple other leagues, we've seen handicap be relatively comfortable in the rain. Not necessarily a rain master as such, but definitely not uncomfortable. So it could favor handicap. We also know that Richie's really happy in changeable conditions. In a different league, he put the pressure onto the guy to beat, and when it rained, it paid off. He was able to come through after the leader at the time spun out. That turn number 3 there, it's played host to a couple incidents over the years. Of course, Hakkinen and Coulthard came together at lap 1 in 1999, so you'll have guys attempting to avoid a similar incident. And then almost more notably, you had Hamilton and Rosberg, the championship rivals at the time, both driving for Mercedes. Final lap, they came together. Whose fault it was is still debated, but crucially, it cost Mercedes points despite Hamilton picking up a solid result in that race. So you'll have the guys being really careful through there. Of course, more recently, you've had incidents through there, notably the Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen overtake. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that, but it's all too easy to T-bone somebody. This sighting lap is all about warming the tires and keeping the engine cool, which sounds like a bit of a paradox as such. So you need to take minimal energy from the engine and put it all into the tires, which is a really, really tricky skill. So as the drivers come onto the grid, can Alex Perita come from the second row to win 2 races on the trot? Can Jedlah improve on the second place from last time out, or will it be your pole man, Moderately Richie, currently 3rd in the championship? If he can pick up a win here, he'll be right in the fight. The last few drivers are lining up on the grid, just filing in as we get ready to go racing. The lights will come on in any moment now. The drivers will be transfixed on those little red dots as it tells them when they can absolutely floor it off of the start line. We've got green flags all around the track, so the guys are almost ready as we wait for those engine notes to rise. Here they come. The engine notes rise, and with them the tension. Who's going to get the best start off the line? It's a shabby start for Richie, and in fact the Ferrari of Polar Haze is already in front. He's pulled over to the outside, and the Racing Point will take a little look. There's contact between the two of them. That might compromise Alex Perita's exit, and indeed it has. Championship rival Jedlah in the orange of McLaren, steaming around the outside, not quite going to be close enough. The Ferrari of Polar Haze breaks a little bit too early, potentially, as the blue Toro Rosso of Moderately Richie, your poleman, will retake the race lead. Further back in the pack, it seems like everybody has just about got through. There's been a collision somewhere with U-Boy and DJ Mario, but I think they might get away with it. And in fact, no, we have a safety car. Somewhere on track, there's someone very slow. I can't quite pick out who it is, but that collision must have been quite a large one.
That we went how many corners? 6.
Turn 3. We said it would be turn 3.
Yeah. If you don't count those fake corners, there was literally turn 3, and then it was a safety car.
Yeah, and notably, Richie there, really, really well composed. He made a bit of a questionable getaway from the line, costing himself the lead, but he stayed calm. And he managed to overtake the Ferrari at turn 3, which is really quite impressive. Other impressive thing, everybody further back in the pack managed to keep it clean as a couple cars come into the pits. I believe that's Cosmin and ITAX21. So those guys are coming into the pits. If they're coming in at this point, we'd anticipate them putting on the hard tires and potentially trying to go to the end. The other option for those guys would be doing potentially double softs to the end if you want to try an alternative strategy. Of course, the other option is that they just got caught up in some lap 1 incidents where those penalties came from and need a new front wing.
I'm cheering for DJ Mario. I like that name. I hope
You're
he
a
wins.
fan of DJ Mario?
Yeah, I mean he was involved with that collision, but I don't think it was his fault because he didn't get a penalty, so I hope he wins. That would be fun.
You want DJ Mario to go? Can you imagine
Yes.
in the club, DJ Mario? That's the kind of name you're looking for.
Yeah, of course.
This sort of situation is a nightmare for the drivers in terms of engine temps and tire temps. Just temperatures across the board that's going to play havoc with. So you had the warm-up lap, then the leaders come, they sit on the grid, and they were sat there for really quite a long time. So during that time, everything is cooling down. I think it was about a minute they were stationary. Crucially, whilst they're stationary, there's no airflow into the cars, and all of these engines are naturally cooled. It's only the air that comes into them whilst you're moving. So if you're not moving, the engines don't cool themselves on these F1 cars. So every engines heat up, tires and brakes cool down. You then do 3 corners, and you got to go slow. So the engines are now getting even hotter, and the tires are getting even colder. So this restart is going to be really, really tricky.
Here's an interesting thing. We have gone 3 laps in about a second, and there's yet to be set a fastest lap.
Oh, true. That's a good fact.
Because obviously the safety car, you can't set a fast lap during the safety car, so it's fairly grey on the grid right now. No one is purple.
Yeah. The big mover through that first lap, and potentially as a result of the subsequent pit stops under the safety car, is Titan Taylor for Racing Point. He's currently 9th position, but he's gained 8 places from where he started on the grid, so that's huge for him. Puts him in the points, and all he's got to do now is maintain that.
Yeah, or even go even higher. 8 more
Yeah.
positions and we'll be P2.
Of course. The guys who have stopped, Itax is put on the mediums, Cosmin the hards, Bear Wilsman in 14th on the hards as well. And then a few guys further down the order, notably Irefly for Haas on the hards as well. Of those runners, you'd think the mediums probably won't be able to do these 33 remaining laps. But of course, if it does go on to rain, then they could be in a really good position where they've got their free pit stop, they'll go all the way to the rain on the mediums, and then change on to the inters of the west, depending on what happens in that scenario. With the hard runners, they're hoping to get to the end. 33 laps on the hards is definitely doable. This isn't a track that's notorious for its tire wear. There's a chance you lock up, at which point that could very quickly have to be thrown away for a plan C. But as it is, those hard runners are betting on track position and hoping they can hold off the faster cars at the end of the race.
Yeah,
Safety
I mean,
car will
can I say
be-
I'm still not really too big on the hard tires. I don't think they're gonna be quick enough on those tires.
Safety cars in this lap, and I believe Moderately Richie has attempted to make a break for it, but he's not done it very successfully as the entire pack is right on his tail. You got the first 4 or 5 cars covered by just over a second. He's going to hold it through turn 1, and of course DRS will not yet be active due to that safety car period. However, it's the Ferrari of Polar Haze who's coming under threat from Jedlah. Polar Haze moves to the inside to defend, and that should be just about to discourage the move. However, he's got checked up by Richie on the exit, got too powerful of an exit from turn number 3, had to apply the brakes then during the straight. Jedlah's going to move to the inside. It's not going to be defended from the Ferrari driver, and it's because he was confident that he didn't need to. He just outbroke the McLaren, and he's managed to hold on to that position. Further down the order, Danny is gaining places on those soft tires over the hard runners. Itax and Cosmin are battling, which is exactly what they don't need to happen on those tires.
Titan Taylor, he's lost about 8 positions again. Oh no.
Yeah, potentially involved in some sort of incident there. He's away off the back of the pack, notably, and Noah came in for the hards at just the wrong moment. I know a guy, 19th place, this is his first lap on the hard tire, so he came in on the lap where the safety car also came in, which is the nightmare for the Haas driver.
Yeah, I mean, considering how chaotic the start, like the actual start was, I'm pretty surprised how clean this is right now.
Yeah, the restart went relatively well, and the leaders are just beginning to space out a little bit more than we saw initially. Alex Perita is the closest of your top 4, only 0.4 of a second off the back of Jedlah. and he's looking to close in, but he's not going to be close enough down the
No
back
DRS
straight.
yet.
Yeah, no DRS yet. So Noah's going to
no.
retire. He's not happy with where he was, and he gives in to his defeat already. That brings the safety car out, notably, which is not great. So he must have
Oh no.
hit a wall, potentially. So while safety car didn't immediately breed another safety car, it was lying in wait. The second safety car was hibernating as 5-7 gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car, which you cannot then serve under the safety car. So that's a really, really big deal for your current 7th place runner. But these guys, they'll close up onto the safety car, and Richie will have to do it all over again.
I was about to say it before, but I forgot. The same inside tech guy as last time told me that there's a slim chance for rain, but very slim.
Slim chance of rain.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the sky, it suggests rain, but Jeff, you know, the strategist, yeah, he suggests that it's gonna be dry the whole race.
Yeah, okay. So there's a small chance of it. Jeff's definitely got it wrong before, but that's what your hard runners have bet on, that Jeff is correct. They're trusting their race engineer.
But still, hards are so slow on this track. Like, sure, you can drive very fast still, but compared to the soft and the mediums, I genuinely think it's faster to just do an extra pit stop.
Yeah, there's a reasonable chance that you are absolutely spot on there. In the pits at the moment, the Williams of Muzz, so he's making a pit stop onto the hard tires, I believe, which is the exact strategy. Oh no, he's come off the hards and back onto the softs, which is an odd strategy to change onto the hards and then come immediately back into the pits and put the softs back on. But he has now run the additional compound, so if he wanted, he could do some 15 laps on this set of softs, change when everyone else has pit stops, and then do another 15 laps on the softs. So it might work out.
Wait a second, who is the guy who's going slow? Okay, he's not going slow anymore, but for some reason Critical Corey went super slow for a while.
Yeah,
I feel like
6 seconds in the safety car.
This is obviously the tier 4 race, and on the same day, like an hour later, they're supposed to have tier 3, and I feel like if this was on the same stream, it would 100% overlap, considering how many safety cars we have already had in 7 laps.
For anyone who still requires more entertainment of the DMR leagues, after this, or starting on the hour, so to speak, is the tier 3, which is the one above this. So those are the drivers who have put in the work, they've proved themselves a little bit, but they've still got a long way to go until tier 1. So that will be over on, I'm going to get this wrong now, twitch.tv/
Yes.
What's the
Delta Motor Racing. That's right.
So you'll just all in, no caps, no spaces, don't worry about any of that. It'll take you straight to the Twitch channel where on the hour that will be. Of course, you won't be going there on the hour because you'll want to listen to our sonorous tones for as long as you possibly can.
Yeah, and it will most likely overlap, so
make sure you go there after the end of this one. We don't want to be losing any viewers, but as it is, safety car doesn't show any signs of coming in quite yet, but of course on the game it does give you far less warning than in the real F1 world. So there's still a chance it comes in this lap.
No, wait, they tell the drivers though. It says Jeff tells you that the safety car is coming in, and it's down here in the corner.
Safety car comes in this lap. So now you can see Richie, he takes over the
big things.
The pace car as such, as there's various penalties
Oh, no.
as a result of that sudden holding up, which is not great for some of the guys. I don't think anyone's been taken out though. So Richie takes over the pace, and I think he's gone already, going far earlier, and he's going to have to slow down because he was going to catch the safety car before it entered the pits. Could have received a penalty for that, got away with it since he broke nice and smooth. He's gone again through the final corner, and this time he's gotten a little bit of a gap. It's only 0.4 of a second, and it's coming down all the time in the straight as Popo Hayes chases him down with the slipstream. The Ferrari driver taking far more curb through turn number 1, and he's going to close all the way up towards turn number 3. Really tight. Richie's not defending the inside. Will he pay the price? Not quite. It was just a showing of the red of Ferrari to the mirrors of that Toro Rosso, just trying to distract him, force him into an error. Critical Corey gets a time penalty for multiple warnings, but he's only in 13th position, so that shouldn't make too much of a difference. Of note, there is already a huge gap between Alex Perita and Danny Ianfar.
Oh,
Alex Perita,
2 seconds.
attacking, He's all over the back of that front group, but Danny was forced defensive as a result of an aggressive Davey Lee TV in the Renault, and it's already opened that much of a gap, and that just visualizes for you how much fighting can cost you. These top four have stayed close, but they've not tripped over each other. As I say that, Purita looks for a move on Jedla, but it's not quite there. Richie pulls across to the pit wall to try and break the toe, but they all mirror him exactly, so it doesn't make much of a difference. It's 4/10 between the front two as Richie's off the road. He goes deep at turn one, and that's going to cost him 3 positions. He's down to 4th place. He'll tuck in behind to the slipstream of the guys ahead, but it cost him positions and 3/10 off the back of this group. But he's then really, really late on the brakes into turn number 3, really frustrated with himself and potentially has the pace to make up. And once again, you see the consequence of the battling. Polar Haze now 1.5 seconds clear of this battle as Richie down the inside of your championship leader and Jedla. He's going to run deep at turn number 4 though, so he's on the outside round turn 5. That'll give him the inside for 6 and 7. The Racing Point pulls across, but there's contact now between the blue and the pink car. They'll now just about file in, but Polar Haze making hay whilst the sun shines. Got 2 seconds at the front of this as a result of a massive mistake from Moderately Richie.
I mean, what a dive from Richie though. Like, if that works, that's so sick.
Yeah, it was a really nice move, and it's almost always available too into turn 4 because the entry line to that corner is so wide that if you can get it stopped on the brakes, it's really nice and simple to get down the inside, dive one down. Richie again wide at turn number 1 though, trying to push it so as he could gain access to the DRS, but that might cost him a chance at the move into turn number 3. He's not going to be close enough, but crucially, neither is Alex Pruta on Richie, so they're all still in the hunt as Polar Haze tries to make a break for it at the front. He's got 2.2 now as this battle continues to rage on. Richie closing down to turn 4. Again, much later on the brakes than the McLaren driver. This time he doesn't go deep. He's going to carry far more speed through turn 5. He takes a look at the inside, but it's well discouraged from the McLaren driver. He didn't necessarily defend it. He just put his car in the middle of the track between turns 5 and 6, and that was enough to discourage the Toro Rosso from firing it down the inside into what really is that not small of a braking zone in turn 6.
I mean, you can tell Richie is hungry for this. He wants to get that P1 back.
Yeah, we saw it on the first lap. He lost it off the line from pole position. He then instantly fought back to gain it the win or the lead of this race. He's then made another mistake into turn 1 that's cost him as he's now absolutely nailed the exit. Instead, it's the McLaren of Jedla who makes the mistake. The DRS detection point for this straight is before the corner, so it's Richie who has the DRS and Jedla who does not. Purita gets a double toe, however, and runs it all the way around the outside of Richie now. It's going to give him first position. Now it's Richie who doesn't have the DRS down between turns 3 and 4 into the braking zone. Will he be as brave as ever? He will, but it's not quite close enough. His exit, however, far more clean as he spins on the exit of turn 4. He made a mistake at turn 1. He made another one at turn 1 the following lap, and now he's made the fatal error. He's spun at turn 4 and 5, and he's dropped him all the way down to 11th position.
Oh, he spins again because his tires are so hot.
The tires are hot
and
covered in all sorts of marbles and debris off the side of that corner now.
What a disaster.
And he's now off into the gravel at turn 6. It's gone from hero to 0 from Richie. He put it on pole at the beginning. He then made a small mistake off the line, and the mistakes just kept getting bigger and bigger as he got more and more frustrated.
Meanwhile, DJ Mario is up into P9.
Yeah, DJ Mario making some reasonable progress. He's now looking at the back of a Haas, and he's getting a nice close view as he sends it down the inside into turn 3. He's nice on the brakes, but the Haas is going to run it around the outside. Irefly is not one to be overtaken easily. He's languishing in 8th position at the moment, but he's a really, really quick driver, and you won't get past him that easily.
He's going for it again, though, and he makes it work.
This time it's going to work. A really, really nicely executed move. That was what Richie was trying to do on the front pack, and he couldn't quite pull it off, but DJ Mario gets it done.
Yeah, very nice move from him, and Richie so far, he has pitted onto the mediums. Makes sense, his soft tires were completely dead, so down in P16 as of now.
Yes, he's got the pace potentially to come back up through this field. Of note, Jedla has also come into the pits. So your previously group of 4 at the front is now a solemn duo. It's Polar Haze and Alex Perita. They have 3 seconds over the current third place man on track handicap. And then it's all a little bit spread out until you get to ITAX. ITAX leading somewhat of a squadron. They're currently just sitting in formation in that battle for 4th position. No one quite close enough to make a move. But you'd feel with the tires now beginning to go off that a move is potentially on the cards.
I mean, Handicap just sneaked through. He was P12 a couple of laps ago, I think. How is he P3 out of nowhere?
I think
he's just replaced Richie. Because they're in the same team.
Done the opposite of his teammate. He's managed to replace him at the front. It'll be interesting to see where he is after this round of pit stops, however, because of course 2 of your what was a front 4 have stopped and are now further down the order as Davy Lee TV gets a penalty. He's down in 17th, so it shouldn't make too much of a difference to the points, but he'll be disappointed with that one. Whoa, as Danny Ian Fear was coming into the pits, it left him on the apex of the penultimate corner and potentially under threat of a collision, but he got away with it. And it's Cosmin from Lord the Viper now in that battle for 4th position.
Yeah, I think Davy Lee actually has the fastest lap, but it's not in the top 10, so it doesn't matter, right? As of now, at least.
Yeah, so of course there is a point for fastest lap in Formula 1, but as the wonderful Edwin so eloquently stated, you only get it if you are, in fact, in the top 10. So you can't just, be sitting around in 14th, last lap, softs on, blast it. You need to be up there fighting for points anyway, which does make it far more tricky to obtain that point.
Yeah, I wonder, it's so hard to tell when people are gonna pit, because so many of these laps have been on the safety car, so to be fair, Polar Haze's tires are not that old.
Yeah, so Polar Haze, it says 13 laps as the stat, and the same for Alex Pruta. But we had a 3-lap safety car period at the start of the race, I want to say, and then I think it was another 2 laps later on. So of those 13, only 8 of them have been under race pace as such. So,
oh no, handicap spins. The Torosso are cursed.
Round on 8-lap-old softs, and he gets a penalty just to rub salt into the wound. Your top 2 have pitted, so those are now dropping down the order. And how strong will the undercut be? We got Jedla already on the start-finish straight. He's got a toe and the DRS off the back of 5.7, and he's going to be miles ahead of the 2 he was currently fighting. Alex Perita is just exiting the pits right now, but it's not great for what was formerly your front 2. They're going to lose a lot of time to Jedla in this window.
Yeah, Jedla overtakes 5.7, but most notably right now is that I mean, to be fair, the most notable thing is the fact that ITAX is in P1, but Didi Mario is also in P4.
Yeah, he'll be looking to make a pit stop pretty soon. Like we said,
yeah, for sure.
You're looking at, it would seem so far from this race, about 9 to 10 laps of racing on these tires. He's currently on 10 laps total, so that's probably about 8, given that he changed onto them during the second safety car period. So he'll be looking at a pit stop pretty soon, as will Lord Viper, some 4 and a little bit seconds up ahead of him.
Yeah, but he's closing in on Cosmin though.
Yeah, the interesting thing here is how brave is Cosmin on these tires. The second place runner currently has 14-lap-old hards on, and you'd anticipate them being able to do at least double that before they get to really sketchy territory. So with another 14 laps to go, that would put you up at, 30 laps on these tires. Would you push the extra 6 out enough to make the stop? It's looking possible.
I mean, Cosmin is in a very, very good position right now, considering the tires he has and the position he has.
Yeah, of the hard runners, it seems to be Cosmin who has potentially chosen the correct strategy for where they were in the pack.
Yeah, and Polar Haze as well, looking to climb back up to the top with his fresh mediums as he overtakes IRFI. And I lose the game sound for some reason. Wait. No, okay, it's back. It's just, for some reason, they have the drone view and I can't hear anything.
Yeah, same.
How much do you want to bank on Richie getting back into the top 3?
I don't think you'll get back into the top 3. I think the top 5 or 6 is potentially doable because the pace of those top 4 runners was considerably greater than the pace of the rest of the pack. So he's got a chance at coming back into this. His strategy, he's also got the ability to vary that depending on when he hits traffic, when he doesn't. So he's got the resources to get back up there. It's just a question of how he does on the overtakes themselves.
Yeah, I mean, he's still down in P14. He's gained about 2 positions since he pitted, so he's going the right way for sure. Meanwhile, Lord P the Viper surely has to pit soon.
Yeah, probably. He's been out quite a while. The other guy who's been out quite a while, Handicap, got 11 lap old softs on, and like you mentioned, spun, but is closed right back in onto 4th place Alfa Romeo of DJ Mario. I wouldn't be surprised if he pits this time around to avoid being held up in the dirty air of the Alfa. The Alfa's going to pit this time for sure. Pulls way over on the entry, and Handicap's going to put another lap in, so potentially trying to overcut the Alfa. He was much, much quicker on the laps leading up to this one. So we'll see what happens there. Handicap also has Polar Haze right on the back, and that battle for the front. Polar Haze is going to try... Not quite close enough. Alex Perita, one of your front runners, currently down in 11th after the pit stops. Now gaining some places as a couple of other guys dropped down the order. He's now got a penalty, which isn't great for Alex. Polar Haze, the battle that was previously at the front, has absolutely mastered this strategy, it would seem. Polar Haze up into 3rd, has just about 2.93 seconds or so over Jedla, and it's Alex Perita who's really come off worse in the strategy duel.
Yeah, and it's almost like the Handicap replaced him in the top runners here, because we can see Jedla, the Handicap, and Polar Ace with Cosmin and Itax in the front, but Cosmin can go for a while, but Itax is gonna have to pit real soon.
Yeah, probably, and you'd have to say the same about Handicap. He's come out of that section with a huge level of oversteer, and he is indeed didn't go in, so he's gonna come into the pits nice and fast on pit entry. Will he get it slowed down? Yes, nice and controlled, so nothing to worry about there. No penalties for speeding in the pit lane or anything of that like. You'd anticipate him putting on the mediums here. We'll see where he comes back out in the field. He's not got any wing changes or any slowdowns there, but it's not quite a quick pit stop for Handicap. He gets held up for a moment, although I think it might have been my game, sorry.
Wasn't it maybe a pit stop penalty, perhaps, that he served?
Potentially, yeah. Might have had a penalty that he had to serve there. So, but he comes out in front of Lord the Viper, which is a pretty solid position, puts him into 9th, 6 seconds off the back of Alex Perita, which isn't ideal, but we think a few of the cars in front of him will still have to pit before the end of this one. Notably, of course, the 2 front runners will probably have to, and 5, 7, and 5th. So, Handicap could make a few places up here and potentially be challenging for a top 5 result by the end of this one.
Danny Lanfair, I believe is how you say it, is really close to Alex Perita, which is not bad at all considering he's supposedly the fastest driver here.
Yeah,
since he won last time.
Their tires are pretty similar too. Lanfair's done one more lap on his set of mediums than Alex has, as he goes very, very wide at the final corner. That's going to give Perita a little bit of breathing room off the back. That drops him from within DRS to some 6 or 7 tenths out of the DRS zone. So not great for Danny, but we'll see if he can close in that gap again. The field beginning to space out a little bit now. The closest battle appears to be moderately Richie. Of course, if you're just tuning in, Richie qualified on pole, made a little mistake off the line, made up for it, regained the lead of the race through the first few corners, and then made a crucial error into turn 1.
Overtakes DJ Mario.
Yeah, he's past Mario now, so we said he'd probably be able to get back up into the top 5. He's got a lot of pace, as do the guys who are running in that front pack before this round of pit stops. So he's definitely coming up through the field. He's in 11th now, just 2 places off the back of his teammate, and now he's got some clean air. He's 6.3 seconds off the back of Lord P the Viper. So should be pretty reasonable, and I'd anticipate him closing that within maybe 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah, I'm saying it right now. I think he's gonna end at top 3. I don't know why, I just have the feeling, because I've never watched a race, I believe at least, I've never watched a race where Richie has not won and he has participated.
Yeah, Richie is Really, really an impressive driver. And it's unusual for you to see him crumble under pressure, which is why I was so in shock at that battle. He's not been involved in quite such a large pack before in a duel for the lead, so potentially inexperience in that respect caught him out. But it is definitely unusual to see him make a mistake.
Yeah, the driver in front of him is getting a lot of slipstream and tow from the handicap, so it's gonna take a while for Richie to catch up, considering he's 6 seconds behind him.
Yeah, potentially. He's come down by a couple tenths in the past couple laps. Whilst Polar Haze at the front, these are your effective top two, are Polar Haze and Jedla, the Ferrari and the McLaren. Jedla, he's not closing in. If anything, he's falling off the back of Polar Haze a little bit. He's got 10-lap-old hards on. Polar Haze has 7-lap-old mediums, so potentially near the end of the race, you could see the McLaren come back up towards the Ferrari. But right now, it's Polar Haze who has the measure of this battle.
Yeah, definitely, and he's very quick into P3. And 5.7, he's gaining a lot of time onto Jedla, but he's not quite getting there.
Yeah,
he went wide in turn 2.
Yeah, Jedla needs to worry about that one, because 5.7's on 15-lap-old mediums. So for reference, Jedla's trying to go to the end on these tires. 5.7 will definitely have to pit again, and 5.7 is closing on Jedla, so the hard tire potentially not working on that McLaren.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of confused on who to watch, but I think Lord P the Viber is who I'm supposed to watch, considering he's very, very close to the handicap right now.
Yeah, this battle with handicap has been going on a few laps as we ride on board with Lord P the Viper. He's staying there. He's not doing anything too silly on the back of handicap, but this will be a move that if he wants to finish in front of handicap, he's got to overtake him on track. So they're both hoping to go to the end on these mediums, and subsequently that's probably why he's not pushing too hard. You don't need to take all the life out of these tires. You can save some ERS, save some fuel, and just go for it later. They've got a bit of a gap to the guys in front as Irefly finally comes into the pit. He was on 20-lap-old hards, now putting on a set of softs. So 13 laps to the end, probably doable on those softs, although it might get a little bit sketchy towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of people gaining time. Oh wait, Polar Haze. He's so close to overtaking Cosmin. And Itax is only down into P4 after pitting, so that's not bad at all. Fresh softs in P4.
Yeah, P4 and 3 seconds off the back of Jedla on the soft tire. You wouldn't put a podium out of Itax's reach here.
Definitely not. But Polar Haze is gaining and gaining and gaining on Cosmin right now. They're soon about to go onto the final straight of the lap, so definitely could overtake here.
Yeah, Cosmin's just picked up a penalty as well, so potentially pushing a little bit too hard on 22-lap-old hard tires now. So you'll be feeling the wear, and that's into the pits for Cosmin.
Not into the pits, right?
Sorry, no. I got that wrong. It was an overtake for Polar Haze.
Yeah, and
so
Purita.
Polar Haze in clear air now, which is where you want to be, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of pace Polar Haze has now that they're free of those, what are effectively back markers.
Yes, and 5.7 goes into the pits, so Alex Purita is finally free of that pressure and can start chasing Itax, but it's not gonna be easy because he's on a 1-lap-old softs.
Yeah, I think Alex Purita might have blown this one in the pit stop window potentially. Of course, did have a penalty to serve, so that's why they lost time in that. But as a result, went from battling for the lead to 5th position and not looking like they're going to gain any places.
I wonder how quick the hards are right now, considering Cosmin is just losing time to Polar Haze.
Yeah, they're not great, but Cosmin's probably not your best benchmark because they're 22 laps old. The gap to watch would be Jedla to Polar Haze, 9-lap-old mediums on the Ferrari versus 12-lap-old hards for Jedla. And you'd anticipate the hards potentially beginning to come back at the mediums at this stage.
Fastest lap again for Itax.
Yeah, so Itax goes even faster. The gap to Jedla now just 9 tenths. And if Jedla was hoping to close up to the top 2, the last thing you wanted was an Alfa Romeo to be all over your back bumper.
Can you check, meanwhile we're watching Itax on the Sector Tour, can you check where he finished last race?
Yes, I can find that out for you. Itax last time, 14th position. Did not finish, so was probably involved in an incident there.
Yeah, okay, never mind then. But he's showing his true potential right here, considering he's
right
fastest driver.
Yeah, right on the back of the McLaren of Jedla, and this is for a podium position, so this one matters. And you'd anticipate it being relatively simple. The soft tires should get better traction out of turn 1 and be able to stop in less space than the hards into turn number 3. So with the DRS, I'd anticipate the move being made down that first flat-out section, but you never know. Jedla might have a trick up his sleeve.
I don't know when it happened, but the weather has just cleared up a lot. I feel like it's not as cloudy as it was before, so I doubt we're gonna see rain.
The wind has blown the clouds away as Itax makes the move on Jedla. Jedla's going to have the DRS, however, up the hill. So Itax goes defensive, moves to the inside, and as we predicted, is just able to brake later than the McLaren. So whilst the McLaren was hoping to swoop around the outside, it was not possible.
Do you think Cosmin is planning to go the whole race on the hards?
I mean, it's possible.
It's a baller move if he pulls it off.
You're looking at 30 laps probably until until you really want to pit. And then from there, you've only got a few laps to the end. And whether you'll lose the entire time of a pit stop, it's unlikely. It's 16 seconds you'd have to lose to make it worth a pit stop. So in 6 laps, are you going to drop almost 3 seconds a lap? Maybe, but also if you kept them in check, potentially not.
Yeah, but if he pits now, he might gain time compared to what he would lose. Like he might gain back 16 seconds if he pits now, perhaps.
Yeah, that is the other thing to take into account. If he was to come in and put on the soft tires, would he be able to get back up through the field? He would currently come out into 5th position behind Purita, so that's the fear there. If you come in, you'd have to overtake Alex Purita, your championship leader. And then you'd also have to get past Jedla, both of whom are not going to be easy to pass. So whilst you might lose this position to Itax, Jedla will be on pretty old tires too by the time he catches you. So it's a case of, do you think you can defend those places better than you can overtake for them?
Here's the thing. I don't think Cosmin qualified very high up onto the grid, and I'm not saying he's slow, but I think compared to the other top drivers, I don't think he's the fastest of them, so I think he's just gonna go on the hards and see if he can make it work.
Yeah, Cosmin finished 6th in round 1. This, of course, round 2 of the championship.
Okay, he's faster than I thought.
And gained 6 places from their starting position, so
yeah,
working well on strategy for the Mercedes.
Yeah, okay, it's a bit faster than I thought then, but still, I think he's gonna go on the hards and just, because you know, he's P2, and Itax is gaining rapidly, but other than that, he's looking pretty set.
Can I just make a quick apology if you can hear any weird droning coming from my end? I don't know if you can or you cannot, but the house next door has decided that now would be the optimal time to do some drilling, potentially putting up a new picture or an entire cabinet, it sounds like. So I do apologize if you can hear that in the background. I'm really, really sorry. We got a change of position for 8th, however. 5-7 getting the move done on Handicap. However, Handicap's going to fight them down the inside into turn number 3. Handicap also manages to pick up the DRS. Of course, the checkpoint for the straight between turns 3 and 4 is just before the hairpin at turn 3. So you can get it and already be in front, and that's what he managed to do. And you can really easy defend a place if you can pick up the DRS there.
Yeah, there's 3 Red Bulls in a row here, and the one who's losing the most on this has to be 5-7, I believe. Except he's on the fastest tire. It's
not great for 5-7. He's on the soft tire. And almost more importantly, this is backing them all up into Moderately Richie. Moderately Richie, 16-lap-old mediums. So no matter how quick you are, 16-lap-old mediums versus 4-lap-old softs is going to be a really, really tricky battle to fight. But with the 2 in front of him already dueling, it's definitely possible, as once again 5-7 tries the move on Handicap. He's down the inside at turn 1. This time he's got it done as they come out the corner. Who's going to have the DRS on the run up to turn 3? It will be behind them. It was the Toro Rosso that achieved that one. But now it's Moderately Richie down the inside of Handicap. Is he going to get it done? It's 5-7, however, who's made the mistake. Runs deep at turn 3. That's going to compromise the exit so greatly that he's going to drop 2 places to both the Toro Rossos. The teammates, however, are still dueling it out. Handicap and Moderately Richie battling it out for 8th position. No team orders here, as they're still side by side into turn 6. They're going to run it next to each other into turn 7 as well. Who's going to come out on top here? It's Handicap who runs it all the way around the outside of Richie. You've got to show respect for the commitment of those two drivers. And crucially, it was hard, but it was fair. There was no contact. They kept the wheels off of each other's bodywork. Yeah. And it's paid off for them.
First of all, DJ Mario crashed, and Cosmin is getting overtaken by Itax, who's gained 6 seconds in like 5 laps, so he's going very fast at the moment.
Yeah, Itax definitely one to watch, so keep an eye on the gap at the front too, but for now we are going to ride on board with Moderately Richie. He's currently in that duel. He's trapped between a Toro Rosso and a Red Bull, but it's Moderately Richie who makes an error. He goes deep at turn 3. It was almost a mirror image of what we saw 5-7 do the lap before, and Richie, it seems like he's struggling with his brakes here potentially. I don't know whether he's got an issue on his rig or in the settings potentially that he's changed, but that's 3 or 4 times we've seen him go deep at these braking zones.
Maybe he's just too brave. Like he's tilted about before and he just wants to gain it back so bad.
Yeah, potentially. Could just be anger. We've seen the red mist descend on drivers before, as it is 5-7 now that Handicap's got to defend from. He held off Richie 2 or 3 times. Richie's dropped away and now he's got to fight 5-7 again. There is no respite for Handicap.
You would almost think they're in the top 3 because they're battling so hard.
Yeah, of course, these are for the final 3 point scoring positions, and every point does matter in this championship, especially for Richie. He's in damage limitation mode, but 5-7, DRS pops open. Handicap moves to the inside, but 5-7 might be ahead here before we even get to the braking zone. He definitely is. Will he run it deep this time? A little bit, but not too much. Who's going to have the DRS? It will be the Toro Rosso of Handicap. That's the lighter blue of these 2 cars, if you're not a frequent fan of F1 as such. And it just seems more comfortable on the brakes to Handicap. He's going to weave around. He takes a look to the outside, then to the inside, but there's no space into turn 6. As Richie now gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, that could be game over for him.
Yeah, it definitely could, but I feel like everyone has penalties, so it might not matter that much in the end.
Yeah, potentially. It will depend, like you say, it's all about the relative penalties as such. If everyone gets 3-second time penalties, no one has 3-second time penalties, and we've seen a lot given out this race.
Yeah, and also some penalties will get retracted after the race because, you know, the game likes to give out some stupid penalties sometimes.
Yeah. It's like a child that's just sat there waiting to get the new present. It's like, oh, can I do it? I'm giving a penalty, and the parent's like, why have you done that? Why? Yeah. Bit ego there.
It's actually exactly like that.
Handicap, meanwhile, sends it down the inside of 5-7. That was similar to the Verstappen move and a little bit more. Just didn't leave room at all for 5-7 in the corner. Drove him way out wide, almost similar to what we saw Rosberg do on Hamilton in 2016. That's compromised 5-7. Now he's dropped behind Moderately Richie on track. So these 3 are swapping and changing all the time. But it's Handicap who's once again at the front of this battle. He will not give up 8th position.
Yeah, also in the top right now, I don't like Itax. It's been very, very quick on the softs, but they're starting to go off a little. And Polar Haze's tires is also starting to go off, but he's been riding those tires for so long. I mean, I think he's used to it.
Yeah, Polar Haze has been on that set of mediums for 18 laps. Itax 10 laps on those softs, so he'll be feeling a little bit aware, and he didn't manage to make the inroads into Polar Haze as efficiently as he would like to have. The gap between Cosmin and Jedla is coming down marginally, but not by a huge amount, so I reckon Cosmin will probably be able to hold that one. It's this battle for 8th position that you've got to watch, as Moderately Richie now sends it down the inside into turn number 3. Will he get it stopped this time around? Not quite quickly enough, as Handicap cuts back on the exit. He gets the DRS, does Handicap, and he's up the inside of his teammate. The Red Bull of 5-7 is getting the best seat in the house for this battle, as Moderately Richie now gets overtaken by Handicap. Handicap runs a little bit deep, however, Richie's going to come back through. Will he get the move done into 6? Yes, he will. So now it's the second Toro Rosso, Moderately Richie, who's up into 8th place. These guys are swapping and changing faster than you can keep track of it. And there's only 2 or 3 tenths between the lot of them.
Yeah, they've been battling so hard for so long. I mean, surely 5-7's tires are just gone right now. And Richie's as well, 21 laps on mediums and fighting for almost half of them.
Yeah, of course. And all this battling is bringing Firefly ever closer. He was way behind this fight initially, and now it's only 2 seconds. We say only 2 seconds, but that could be a huge amount as Moderately Richie runs deep at turn 1 for the 3rd time this race. He keeps getting it wrong. Will it cost him again? His teammates looking to the outside. Handicap's been confident on the brakes into turn 3.
Oh.
It's not quite enough though, as 5-7 then gets checked up. Davey Lee V gets a 3-second time penalty. 5-7's got the DRS, but none of them are quite going to be close enough to make a sound move, I think. However, the Toro Rosso of Handicap is going to send it down the inside. Sorry, that's Moderately Richie, who sends it down the inside of his teammate. That's going to compromise Handicap's exit even more than it otherwise would have been from his wide entry line, and brings 5-7 back into play. Only 5 tenths between these 3 cars. You got 3 tenths between the top 2, 2 tenths between the second 2, as 5-second drops back through the middle sector. And once again, the battle is between Handicap and Moderately Richie. You would think at some point these two would have a team order. At some point, these two would go, you know what, no, we're going to bank the points. But no, they continue to fight. They both want the points for 8th position. This could be huge in the long run for this championship. Of course, this is only round 2, as 5-7 now gets a 3-second time penalty. That's going to put him much closer to Moderately Richie in terms of penalty time loss. So those two potentially now in a real fight, as 5-7 goes incredibly deep at turn 3. That's going to potentially drop him outside of this fight. But Handicap once again gets an incredible exit from these slow corners. Seems to be a real skill of his, and he's down the inside into turn 4 on something like the 3rd lap in a row. They both get to stop this contact between the two of them. Bodywork
it was
everywhere.
Bound to
That's
happen.
A barge board. Moderately Richie on the gravel. It's compromised both of them, and 5-7 could swoop through to take the lot of them here. He's on the inside through turn number 6. It's not going to be quite enough.
Oh, no.
Richie's round in the background.
Oh, no.
Richie spun once again. He's off the track between the double lefts of turn 6 and turn 7 at the Red Bull Ring. But the
He's gonna
battle is
report
not
that, I think.
over for 8th position.
I think RFI took him out.
Oh, that would be a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah.
Although we don't know which Toro Rosso that barge board came off of, so he might already have had some air damage that meant he was really slow through that corner potentially.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, this is like Baku 2018, except it's the junior team.
Yeah. It's Red Bull 2.0.
Yeah.
Red Bull Italia that are crashing into
with
each other
a little
as opposed
touch
to
of
Red Bull.
RFI at the end.
So Firefly, he is further off this pack now as a result of what we believe was contact, but it's still a battle for 8th position. As your winner is Polar Haze. The laps have ticked away whilst we've been watching this battle. Polar Haze
No, wait, ITAX won.
But takes too many penalties. It's
Oh,
going to be
man.
ITAX who takes the win. Cosmin comes across the line in the 3rd, but also has penalties. That's going to drop him behind Jedla, who picks up his 2nd podium position in a row. So that will be good for the championship. Alex Perta will be disappointed with a 5th place. It was looking so promising in the first third of this race, but it's not turned out to go too well. The battle for 8th is still raging, however, through the final corners, but I think Handicap has the measure of 5-7 as they come across the line. It's going to be Handicap on track. Will 5-7 take it on penalties? He does. 5-7 and 8th. Handicap on the Toro Rosso.
I think Moderately Richie is gonna take it on penalties as well, possibly, because RFI had a lot.
In 10th. Moderately Richie, we're waiting for him to cross the line for 11th
He didn't, okay,
position.
never mind then. He had a lot of penalties as well.
Yeah, Richie I think had 6 seconds worth of penalties on that
But I
one,
mean,
so he finishes a long way off in 11th.
ITAX out of nowhere. I don't even know where he qualified. Out of
What
nowhere
race?
gets P1. Yeah. I mean, especially the P8 fight. That was just so long and so exciting for like the whole time it was going on, until eventually they crashed, which I feel like was bound to happen when you race as hard as that for too long. But yes, so ITAX actually wins the race. I did not see that coming.
Truly remarkable in terms of that. I'll see if I can line us up a couple interviews, but I
With
think
ITAX,
I
perhaps.
definitely need to catch my breath after that one.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, we have time to wait for some interviews here. So I'm gonna check, where did ITAX? Grid 5th place, okay, that's not even bad, but still, P1, P5, from P5 to P1, that's very impressive. And Cosmin, P8 to P4. Yeah, that's the biggest one. For sure. Yeah, that was a very exciting race from start to finish. Two safety cars in the beginning, like in the first 5 laps, and then there's no safety cars for the rest of the race. Everyone had penalties as well, except for like 3 drivers. There's 3 drivers who did not have penalties, and iTax was one of them.
Yeah, a really, really impressive race. We will definitely see if we can get a couple interviews. I've got handicap coming in just now, of course, involved in that duel
Anyway,
at
so
the end of the race. Sorry about that, handicap. Congratulations
I did say I was ready.
And a successful fight at the end there. How are you feeling?
I don't know. Oh, those batters at the end of the race. Firstly, with my teammate, of all people, who should have been a second quicker than me, and then the Red Bull.
But you came out on top though.
Just.
Yeah.
I mean, I did make a bit of contact with my teammate coming out of, I think, turn 4, which may have slightly damaged his front wing.
We think it was potentially a barge board that came off of your teammate.
I think it was definitely front wing damage.
Okay,
So he got P11, I somehow got P9 through penalties.
Yeah,
but
so
that's
you
not
were
bad.
seeming pretty confident on the brakes. Notably, there was a few moves into turn 3 that were definitely block passes. Were those intentional, or were you just caught out?
I'd like to say most of them were intentional. 1 or 2 may have been miscalculations. I'm not trying to become the Daniel Ricciardo of this back in Renault early 2019. Like, these brakes are fine, locks up immediately.
Yeah, but the big question is, are you happy with your position?
Relatively. I didn't put in the best qualifying performance, and then, spinning halfway through the race, but it was probably the best position I could have hoped for.
Yeah, but then it's fine.
I'll take it.
Yeah, you should. Well, thanks for the
2
interview.
points.
Yeah, and Richie didn't finish in the point at all, I think. P11, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, well done.
So just like real life.
Very
Congratulations on an enjoyable race. You definitely made it more enjoyable for the rest of us. Have a good evening.
No problem, thanks.
So I've also got an interview with your race winner, iTax, lined up.
Mad.
So we'll get him in. Hello, iTax. Congratulations. How are you feeling?
Good. And you?
Pretty decent. You seem to pull it all together there on strategy. Was that always the plan, or did you just play it by ear with the safety cars?
Yeah, there wasn't really a plan because I got wing damage in lap 1. So I pitted at lap 1 to the mediums. Under the safety car, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay, why didn't you pit for the hards?
Because I wanted to pit to the softs at the end of the race.
Yeah, okay. We saw that. You gained a lot of time on the softs.
Yeah.
Were you ever worried about catching the cars in front and not being able to make the move?
At first I did. So I was like pushing a lot. And when I passed the second guy that was in second, then I heard from Jeff that the driver in front of me has a 6-second time penalty.
So, yeah, that's always pretty advantageous, isn't it?
So then I calmed down a bit, only to see in the last couple of laps that the gap is 5.7 seconds. So then on the last laps I pushed again, just to stay in that 6-second gap.
Yeah, but I mean, you had a very good race. I mean, you qualified fairly high up on the grid, but I mean, I didn't expect you to finish P1 after that. That's very impressive.
Yeah, thank you. To be honest, I didn't expect it to. Definitely when somebody spun me around at turn 3.
Yeah, it happens so often as well on this track.
Yeah, it really happens.
Yeah, congratulations on a fantastic race. That should put you right in the championship fight. So, congratulations and good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Alright, so is that it?
Yeah, I think that's just about all I've got.
Okay, awesome. We'll wrap it up then. So thanks to everyone who's watched.
thank you very much for everyone who tuned in. I believe we had quite an active chat during that. I didn't get the chance to look at it, unfortunately, but thank you for everyone who tuned in. Of course, if you are still here, make sure you now go straight over to twitch.tv/Delta Motor Racing League. Right there, we've got Tier 3 happening right now, so go join that. And as for us, we are very happy for you joining us.